Alrighty, buddy. Welcome to the recap of the Federal Hockey League's not free agent, college and junior draft for 2014. I'm joined with Dayton's broadcaster Lee W. Mowen. Lee, hello.
Hey Tommy, how you doing?
Fantastic. So the five teams as of right now: the Dashers, Men's, Danbury Whalers, Watertown. Question marks. We don't know what their team is going to be called yet. Obviously, under new ownership, a new franchise. And did I mention Danbury? I think I did. Danbury, the Whalers, and the Pennsylvania Magic, the newest team in the Federal Hockey League. So five teams. Each team picked four picks, and Danbury picked five, but we'll talk about that later on. Some other news before we get started. The Watertown team named Brent Clark as their new head coach. He played with the Watertown Privateers for a good last season, and for Dayton Demons made a signing. Brian Marks will be back next year for the Dayton Demons, and the Dashers signed Brian Sauce and Jonathan Giuliano to return to the Danville Dashers. That's the latest news around the FHL, but without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the Watertown Privateers draft picks. Starting off, we have Adam Vilquat. He's from Ontario. He was the first pick for Watertown. He was born in 1988. 6'0", 190 pounds, and he has been playing in SUNY Cortland, one of the State University of New York teams, for the past 3 years. This past year, he had 10 goals and 10 assists for 20 points in 24 games. So it appears he's more of an all-around scorer. He can chip in on occasion in terms of protecting his teammates. 32 penalty minutes in 24 games. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty on occasion. So looks like he brings a more all-around kind of game for the Privateers, so we'll see how he does this upcoming seasons.
And I'd like to add, with the loss of Benny Berisha to the expansion draft, having someone like that is going to help you a lot, just because of the fact that if you lose those two guys that can bring you offense like that, and bringing in someone that can help ease that loss, that's going to be huge for Watertown.
Yeah, that's also, they lost Berisha and Ouellette, as well as Nick Niedertz, and Ray Tremblay also got drafted away by the Magic in the expansion draft that took place last couple weeks ago. Seems like time flies by during the offseason. But number 2 pick for Watertown, forward Chad Bennett, who also played in the SUNY Athletic Conference. This one with Fredonia. He played 17 games this past year, 3 goals and 3 assists, and 10 penalty minutes. He's 5'10" and 175. So it looks like he's more of a defensive style forward. But it takes all types to round out a team and all the talents that you need. So more a little bit of the type that would come back and help on defense, maybe on the penalty kill, and a good utility guy for the Watertown. I keep thinking of saying Privateers, but they're no longer the Privateers. And he is from Burlington, Ontario. Any comments on that?
I just think the points really don't matter unless you have these 3 things: a good body, you can skate well, and you have a good attitude. If you bring those 3 things into the table, you're well fitness, you can skate along the ice, and you have a team can do all attitude, you're going to be just fine. And if that's what Watertown got, that will be an excellent addition to this Watertown team for 2014-2015.
Agreed. Third pick, Nick Avgerinos. I hope I said that right. He's a defenseman. He was born in 1990s from Bolton, Ontario. 6'1", 215 pounds, so he does have a bit of size to him. Former Toronto Junior Canadian and Georgetown Raider in the Ontario Junior League. And he played the last 4 years in SUNY Potsdam. So third draft pick, and I will also mention the 4th pick was also in the SUNY Conference. This past year, 16 games, 3 assists, no goals, and 14 penalty minutes. So he definitely brings that size, perhaps as part of the checking unit for Watertown on in training camp, which is also something that you need also, especially when you're talking about containing key players on other teams to try to keep them to the outside, keep along the boards, and prevent them from getting into defense. So that is the 3rd pick for Watertown. The 4th one is Corey Evelyn. He is from as a 1992 birth year. He's 22 years old, and as my stat sheet reloads, He also played in the State University of New York Conference. Actually, no, he didn't. It was only 3 out of the 4. My apologies. He played this year with Temiskaming Knights, no, Titans. The Temiskaming Titans. That time I said it right. In the GMHL, 38 games played, 8 goals and 37 assists, 108 penalty minutes as well. So I was chatting with Lee earlier about this, and definitely someone that could potentially replace Bert Ouellette, who was replaced or drafted by the Southwest Pennsylvania Magic, averaging 37 assists in 38 games. So he's definitely a playmaker, as you.
Like you mentioned, a good replacement for Ouellette, who's now part of the Southwest Pennsylvania Magic team, and also with the protected list going on too. If he gels with the team, he's gonna really rack up the points in the FHL in 14-15.
Yeah, and that other part too, 108 penalty minutes in 38 games. Potentially, he does bring some toughness as well. And considering that Chase Tippin announced his retirement after this past season, McCarthy will take a slightly less role as well as he continues to start to age just a little bit. And now Jeff Dill is gone, or at least no one if he's returning or not. He wasn't protected by them, wasn't redrafted by them. So Jeff will not know if he's going to be back next year or not. But he definitely brings the toughness element into this particular squad as well, with at least Tippin gone and Dill possibly gone, but just McCarthy sticking around. He's not even as much forcing as much as the other two per se. So definitely some extra toughness that he brings in. 6'2", 181 pounds, so decent height. And as we learned from Jeff Dill, it's not the weight that matters as much. And one of the studies from Scarborough, Ontario. As I apologize, I would have mentioned that earlier if it wasn't for the bit of technical difficulties I happened. So that concludes Watertown's 4 picks. We're going to move on to the Danville Dashers. First pick was Brad Denny's from Fishers, Indiana. 5'9", 175 pounds. He played the last 4 years at St. Mary's University in Minnesota. And he actually played on the same squad as Brian Soskin, if I'm correct. I know St. Mary's University, I don't know if they have multiple sites where they have universities. But I know Brian Soskin played with St. Mary's University. I don't know if they're in the same squad or not. But there's a bit of a connection there as well. And being in Indiana, that's not too far from Danville. They're on the border with Indiana. 5'9", 175 pounds. In 24 games with St. Mary's last year, he had 1 goal and 7 assists, along with 31 penalty minutes. So it appears he will contribute to the defensive side of the game, of course, with Ryan Huggett retiring due to concussion issues with the Dashers last year. Definitely potentially filling a hole on the blue line for this Dash squad. So Denny was the first pick for the Dashers. Shane Gorman. Oh, yes.
I'll also mention Brad and his dad were at the party at Main Street Bar and Grill in Danville, from what I understand, too. So getting your face out there in the local community, always a great step to starting off your career with the Dashers.
That is correct. I actually forgot to mention that, too. I was not at the draft party in Danville. I left and went back home to Florida in April, right after the season ended. So I exactly involved in the off-season stuff for the Dashers as much. We'll see if that happens next season or not. But yeah, definitely interesting to see him there available at the draft and see if he has a good chance of making the Dasher squad next year. So I'll have to wait and see. I know training camp starts in October. I should be there for that, so it should be interesting to see what happens there. Now, the number 2 pick for the Danville Dashers was Shane Gorman. He played the past 4 years at Norwich University in Connecticut. He's from Trumbull. He was born in 1991. He's 5'8", 180 pounds. This past year, he had 9 goals and 24 assists in only 30 games, so he can definitely punch in the offense, including setting up plays. Another thing the Dashers could use as well. I also believe he's on a professional trial agreement with one of the teams in FHL, I believe. Knoxville, Huntsville, one of those two. So it's going to see what happens with Gorman, see if he sticks around in the SPHL or plays later on for the Dashers or anywhere else in the Federal League.
One interesting thing you mentioned about him being a playmaker, one person that is already re-signed with the Dashers, Jonathan Giuliano. It sounds just like a nice compliment to Giuliano because what did Giuliano do well? He won faceoffs for you. He was a good power play man. It sounds like Shane Gorman's a chip off the old Giuliano block, but then again, if Gorman does go to Knoxville or Huntsville in the SPHL, will Danville even see him? That's the question.
Yeah, that is a good question. And yeah, Giuliano, of course, who and with the start this season at Danville. It appears we're having some technical difficulties with the Lee back momentarily. So while we were to return, are you back, Lee?
I'm here.
Oh, okay, seem to be having some technical difficulties, perhaps internet charge or something. I was mentioning Giuliano. He was on the line with the Ahmed Mahfouz and Jesse Felton. Is that correct?
I believe so. He was on the first or second line, and like I mentioned, he won a lot of faceoffs for us, and he's just a good passer. He was a good passer, and when he got a chance to shoot at the net, he would take his chances. Picked up about 9 goals with the Demons, if I'm actually no, I think 10 or over if I remember right. But yeah, that was Giuliano. He was a good face-off winner, and a good playmaker and a good power play guy.
That sounds about right. And I know one other thing about Giuliano's game, something I saw in Danville, he loves to skate around with the puck. He's very fast on his skates. I remember a game in Watertown, and he had the puck. This was during a penalty kill. He made 2 full laps around the rink, around every single player, without so much as a takeaway against him, with the puck, killing off a whole minute of the power play by himself. So if Gorman is anything like Giuliano, you should be a very impactful player in the Federal Hockey League with the Dashers, or even in the SPHL with Knoxville or Huntsville. Like I said, I can't remember which one he signed with. One of those two I know for sure. Anyway, third pick for the Dashers would have been Quick from Burgess, New York. He's 5'10", 160 pounds, plus the 4 years with Colby College. And unfortunately, I don't have his stats for the previous year, but in 2013, he had 23 points in 25 games. I believe he built on that in this season. So definitely someone who can contribute to the offense, both passing and shooting. So that'll be another interesting ad for the Dashers coming into next season in training camp. And so we'll get to the fourth pick for the Dashers. Or was that the fourth pick? No, that was the third pick. Fourth pick was Bobby Bowden, although I seem to be missing his stats. Bobby Bowden, I know he's a goaltender. He was playing in he was playing in college. I forget the name of the college he was on.
Assumption
But he
College.
played Assumption. That was the name of it. Thank you, Lee. He had been there for, I believe, 3 seasons. The past season, 2-9-0 record. However, and I believe my camera just went out, but 2-9-0 record. But interestingly enough, he had a .911 save percentage in 11 games he played. So he definitely had a pretty good job in the nets. And on the defensive end, maybe his team just wasn't really helping him out in college. But definitely a consistent goaltender in the net when it comes to making saves. I believe he actually owns a few college records at Assumption College in terms of shots faced and saves made and save percentage for his team. Is my camera working? I'm not sure if it is.
It's working on my end.
There
You
are
keep breaking, you keep breaking up, and you keep sounding like a robot sometimes, though. And your sentences sometimes have the longest spaces in them, like from Assumption College, stuff like that. But one note I
Oh,
like to add: Assumption College. That's a great name for a college. But also, I believe on the Dashers protected list is Matt Anthony and Joe St. Pierre. Great goalies. Matt Anthony definitely brings a wealth of experience back to the Dashers, and St. Pierre as well. But at the same time, are both of those gentlemen coming back? What's going to happen to them? If one of them can't come back to Danville, Bobby Bowden sounds like he'd be a great man between the pipes for the Dashers.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You can never have too much of a wealth in goaltenders. Of course, St. Pierre and Anthony are there, but if in the case one of them gets traded or injured, you have someone to back them up. Potentially, if you have a wealth of goaltenders, an option could be trading one for acquiring a better asset and maybe an offense or defense. And you still have a really good goaltender coming up the pipe. So really, you're making something out of nothing instead of just having somebody sitting at a level below waiting to play, and it'll help the team overall. So that's Bobby Bowden. Those are the four picks for the Bears. And now I believe Dayton is coming up next. So Lee, I'm going to hand that off to you for Dayton's picks.
Thank you very much, Tommy. The Dayton Demons made their 4 picks. The first pick was Wilson Dumais, spells his last name Dumais. He's from Canada, from South End, Saskatchewan, Canada. Born in February 24th, 1993. He's a left winger, a lefty shooter, weighing in at 181 pounds and heighting up at 5'11". His last experience was with the OCN Blizzard, where he recorded 10 games, 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists, and in 9 games with the L'Orange Ice Wolves of the SJHL. 9 games, a goal and assist for him, and 38 minutes in the box. And if you recognize I said the OCN Blizzard, that is the same place that Roger Daguna played before becoming a Demon for last season, when the Demons would eventually hoist the cup in 5 games against Danbury. And the previous year before that, he wore the alternative Captain A, played in 41 games, recorded 12 goals, 26 assists for 38 points with the OCN Blizzard of the MJHL, and also racked up 229 penalty minutes. And in the playoffs that year, picked up 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points, 20 minutes in the box for 8 games. That being said, that is a great pickup for the Demons.
Yeah, no doubt, and especially how you mentioned Taguna and how big of a role he played in Dayton this past season. Taguna, he did pretty much everything well. He could score. He could fight, as I call him, the Tagsmanian Devil. Hopefully that name gets picked up more next season. I may have to suggest it to some of the Dayton fans to get that working around a bit more. But yeah, Taguna definitely brings every element to the game that you really need. He's still a little young and still has some potential to go even better with the skills. So who knows if he maybe be able to move up a couple levels later on in his career. But yeah, definitely, if anything, that could be a pretty good pick for the Demons as well going into next season. So I'll have to see how he does. So yeah, definitely should be a pretty good pick for the Dayton Demons.
I think so too. And on that note, Roger Daguna, where the team calls him Goons because his last name does spell out Goon.
I have heard of that
He
one.
he never met a fight he didn't like. I mean, like you said, he didn't have the tallest size in the FHL, but man, he never backed down from a fight, did he?
I remember he fought Brandon Blair, I'm pretty sure, in the second game of the year. And
Wow, before
a lot of
Blair
takes a
was
lot of courage to go up against Brandon Blair, that's for sure.
before Brandon Blair was traded to the Dayton Demons, and actually part of the protected list, which after I mention all the picks for the Demons, Tommy, I like to go over our Demons protected list on here as well.
Sure, go ahead.
Let's get the 3 picks out of the way first, though. Your
Right.
next pick, your second round pick, is going to be Dan Mowen, aka Daniel Mowen. He's also Canadian from Ignace, Ontario, Canada. Age of 21, born June the 10th, 1993. He's a left defender, also a left-handed shooter. His last season was with the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners. He donned the C in the NOJHL. 39 games for him with 6 goals, 23 assists, 29 points, with 31 minutes in the box. And in the playoffs, 13 games, a goal, 7 assists, 8 points, 15 minutes in the penalty. So that being said, a good defenseman to back you up there, along with Captain Brian Marks and Brandon Blair. Of course, you mentioned, Tommy, before we got over the drafts, that Brian Marks was the first Demon to sign his contract. He's coming back as a Demon in 2014-2015. But like I was starting to mention, Morin sounds like a great defensive guy that can tag along Brian Marks even Brandon Blair, and I believe there was another defender that we kept too, Len Pelche too. With that being said, Len Pelche, those are your three defensemen in the protected list. We'll go over the full list after the
What have you mistaken
four
if Brett
picks.
Wall as well was protected?
Brad Wall, the Huber Heights, Ohio native, is
Huber
protected.
Heights native. Yep.
Just a couple minutes from the Inglewood Buffalo Wild Wings, and just a couple minutes from Air Arena, where he saw the Dayton Bombers play when he was younger, part of their youth program back in the 90s as well. So that being said, Dan Morin, your second pick. Your first pick was Wilson Dumais. And here's your third pick, Steve McSwain. Born in the year 1993, it does not list his month or day. This is from the Elite Prospects website, eliteprospects.com. Mississauga, Ontario is his hometown in Canada. He's a left-handed forward for the Demons, ranking in at 5'8", 181 pounds. His last 2 years, he played with the Toronto Attack in the GMHL. His last year, 19 games, 18 goals, 12 assists, 30 points, and 28 minutes in the box. His first year with the Attack, according to Elite Prospects, in 2012-2013. 22 goals, 31 assists, 53 points in 41 regular season games, 5 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in the playoffs that year. So that being said, a great forward to join the rankings. Tommy, what's your thought on that pick?
It definitely sounds like he brings the offense to the table. As you mentioned, I think you said 22 goals and 30-something assists in 40 games, I believe you said. Something that definitely sounds like he brings an all-around offensive boost to the Demons squad.
And you know, here in Dayton, we love our offense. I mean, past few years, Demons were never short of goals for a season.
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely, Dayton is just an offensive powerhouse over the past couple years. Of course, you have Mafuz and Felton and Skinner, Patriziak, Van Weinsberg, Giuliano for a time, and I can't even name them all. There's so many offensively talented players too. And there's another one that have just really stepped up with Dayton over the past couple years.
That being said, Steve McSwain, the third-round pick for the Demons. Here's your fourth-round pick for Dayton. Tom Tracy, an American from Wakefield, Massachusetts. He is a forward, age 22, born in 1991, 5'11", 174-pound forward. His last 4 years, according to Elite Prospects, he was at Framingham State University, part of Division III in the NCAA. His last year with Framingham State, he recorded 8 goals, 7 assists in 26 games for 15 points, 32 minutes in the penalty box. And also it does have him listed part of the USHS Hebron Academy in 2009 and 2010. Unfortunately, no stats there. With that being said, his career, 93 games with Framingham State, 19 goals, 19 assists for 38 points, and spent a total of 64 minutes in the penalty box. Now, Tommy, what's your thoughts on this?
Definitely sounds like a good player again that the Demons could use. What were his stats again?
His NCAA Division III stats, his career, 93 games, 19 goals, 19 assists for 38 total points, and his penalty minutes in 4 years, 64 minutes. His last year with Framingham State, which was 2013-2014, 26 games, 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points, and 32 minutes in the box.
Okay, thank you again for that, Lee.
No
But
problem.
yeah, definitely sounds like he could possibly take a spot maybe on the third line for the Demons as a little bit of a utility player. Maybe could be used on the penalty kill, on the defensive side of it, and can occasionally get on the scoreboard. Although you never know, some of these players, they can be wild cards, and they may not perform as offensively maybe in college levels, but as soon as they go up a level, they may just suddenly just break out in talent and just get hot like fire and just totally dominate in the offense. And that's the best way you could potentially move up on the lines and possibly look at getting interest in moving up at higher levels of pro. So definitely an interesting pick by the Demons, and we'll see how he does starting next year.
That being said, just to recap, Wilson Dumais, Dan Mowen, Steve McSwain, and Tom Tracy, your Dayton picks from first to fourth. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the protected list. Your defenders that the Demons kept: Captain Brian Marks, Len Pelche, and Brandon Blair. You also have the two goalies protected: Matt Kinsella, Jeff Rose, who Coach Trevor Karasowicz said is the best 1-2 tandem in the net in the Federal Hockey League. And your forwards kept: Ahmed Mahfouz, and also with Jared Hicks, Robert Van Lynsburg, Dustin Skinner, Brett Wall, August Aiken, and Roger Daguna. And the three that the Demons lost in the expansion draft, all three of them went to the Magic. We lost defenseman Dan Mercer, with forwards Jason Patriziak and Casey Mignon going to Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. And one more thing before we take it to the next team's draft picks. I want to say, broadcasting that draft, great experience, great turnout of fans. It's great to see all their smiling faces as they watch Coach Trevor Karasowicz take the phone and make his draft picks. Something interesting about the first draft last year, all four picks for the Demons not only played, which Dayton is the only team that can say that, but they contribute heavily to the Cup. So that being said, let's see if the Demons can pull it off again. Just want to thank everyone at the Inglewood Buffalo Wild Wings for letting me broadcast and letting us have our draft party there for a second year in a row. Fantastic time. I want to thank Coach Trevor Karasowicz for his time on the air with me, and Ahmed Mahfouz spending nearly an hour with me. And I don't know how people spend any time on the air with me, but all joking aside, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Trevor, for going on the air with me as well. And I want to share this story if you haven't heard it. Literally, one of the fans asked me before I go to work if we're going to have a broadcast of the draft, right? So I think about it. I asked the coach and I asked Jeffrey if they wouldn't mind. They were both up for it. So it literally happened the day of. So I was definitely going there to tweet about the draft picks that the Demons made, and it didn't end up working like that at all. But at the same time, great time, great fans. I can't wait until the season starts again to see these great fans and see some great ice hockey action at Hare Arena, as opposed to field hockey action.
Yeah, and I was listening in. Yeah, I was actually listening into the draft event out of Dayton, and it definitely did sound loud, and definitely Mahfouz, I think he spent like 15 minutes on the 50, not 15 minutes on the microphone with you. And, of course, Karasowicz for a little bit after it. It definitely sounded loud in the background, and you can just feel the excitement even just listening through the stream on Gem City Sports Network, how excited Dayton is for next season with the draft party. I could also mention, you mentioned those that were drafted away for the Demons. The Dashers, Jamie Zaleski got drafted back to Watertown. They also lost Steve Wicklum and Brian Dunford in that draft as well, and I think one other, but I can't even remember who the fourth person. Maybe it was only three, but I knew Zaleski, Dunford, and Wicklum and Dunford. Not Wicklum. Wicklum and Zaleski got drafted to the Magic. No, to Watertown, and Dunford to the Magic. And yeah, those were those three. I can't say if I remember if there was a fourth player, but I didn't know those three got drafted away. And I think Danbury lost Karloff, Caranci, Garrett Peters, and James Sanford all got drafted away also in that, and Watertown and Pennsylvania started off fresh. So that's right, because it was three that were drafted from Danville, three drafted away from Dayton, and four from Danbury. That's how it went, I remember now. But yes, those were all the players that got drafted away. Karloff went to the Magic, and the other three went to Watertown.
That's going to be an interesting series when Watertown plays Danbury for the first time, either on the road or away, to see former Whalers and privateer jerseys. Granted, it happens more than I'm trying to make it, but at the same time, you get my drift where, hey,
Definitely big players in Caranci and Karloff, just them two alone, as well as Karloff, Sanford and Peters. Of course, Karloff going to the Magic. That'll be interesting as well. Whenever they go to Danbury again, you'll definitely see some kind of tribute. in Danbury, especially for Caranci, who I believe is the franchise leader in points and goals for the Danbury Whalers, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely points, goals. I'm fairly certain he is in that as well. So it'll be interesting to see next year to see how they return. And also, if you're wondering what that rumbling is in the distance, I do apologize. It's outside what we get when living in Florida. It's not the Sunshine State, really. It's more of the rain every day out of nowhere state. So I apologize if the thunder does get a bit loud outside. We should be able to stay online, though.
You mean to tell me it's not just a state of oranges? What kind of madness is this? What what?
There are plenty of orange. There are lots of oranges as well, but it's mainly lightning, rain, and palmetto trees.
Especially in Tampa Bay, lightning. Am I right? Ha ha ha! I'm so funny. No.
Yeah, right. It was definitely creative. It was definitely creative to call them the Lightning back in '92. They were the first team, actually, at the NHL level, a major professional to work in or be based in Florida. There were a couple minor A teams out of Jacksonville on occasion and Orlando area that
Yeah,
saw minor league hockey in northern half of Florida on occasion.
I do believe the Orlando Magic started in the late '80s as a professional team in Florida, and also the Dolphins too. But hockey, yeah, exactly. Because when did Florida show up? '93.
Panthers came in '93, '94, the Lightning in '92, '93. And then they got the Orlando Solar Bears, which started playing '95, '96.
And they're back from hibernation, except that was last year, and I can't stop saying that phrase.
Relatively new. Alrighty, now we can get back on topic with the draft picks. We left off at Dayton's, and we got Danville and I believe Watertown out of the way. Now we'll get the Magic picks, and they actually made 5 picks. However, we did not manage to get stats on any of those players. They weren't showing up anywhere. So, however, the Magic were kind enough to provide quick biographies on these 5 players, and they're all local Pennsylvanians. First one being Wayne David. He's 6'1", 175 pounds. Played at University of Pittsburgh, shooting right, and according to the Magic, he's a great leader. And I believe you were telling me something about him just earlier, Lee.
Yeah, I looked up Wayne David's stats, and from the ACHA website, he was part of the Division III Pittsburgh Johnstown team for the last 4 years. So with that being said, we were talking a little bit about the Magic drafting local kids, local guys to play for the team, and what better way? You had a great expansion draft. Let's not take that away at all. You had a great expansion draft. Now, bring some local kids in, sell those tickets. You're off to a fantastic start in the FHL.
Yeah, definitely. Getting those local players in there tends to be a big helper in terms of ticket sales, especially when it comes to your inaugural season. So definitely good choices by the Magic. Number 2, their second pick, David Kutzer, also played at the University of Pittsburgh. He's from Derry, Pennsylvania, along with Wayne David. According to the Magic, he's a versatile player who can play forward and defense. So definitely a utility player. He appears to he's 5'10", 180 pounds, and he plays a lot bigger than his size indicates and is not afraid to take on any player on the ice. Another great leader, inspiration to his teammates. That is per the Pennsylvania Magic. The third pick, Eric Vogel. You're saying something, Lee?
Also, something interesting I see, he started all 4 years and also had the C for the last 3. So you can tell just by that, the leadership chip on his shoulder. I mean, very mature. That'll be great for the Magic.
Yeah, that should be leadership. You can never have too much leadership on a team, so it's definitely a big pickup for the Magic. Number 3, the third pick, Eric Vogel, 6'1", 160 pounds. He's a goaltender, and he's from Eastern Pennsylvania. He played for Westchester University. His goals against average was under 3, and according to the Magic, he moves very well and is very quick in the net. So one of those versatile goaltenders who is mobile and can move around in order to make a big save.
And also on the Federal Hockey League fans Facebook group, there when Eric Vogel was announced, he had several of his Facebook friends just cheering him on. I mean, I think it was at least 10 posts saying "Go Vogel, go!" So if you put Vogel on the ice, that is definitely going to help in the ticket department too. Because hey, let's go see our buddy play for the Magic.
No doubt, especially because it's relatively nearby, even though Pennsylvania, which I can say is about 6 hour drive from western border near Pittsburgh to the eastern side near Philadelphia. Good friends are not afraid to go a relatively close distance to go see your friend who's making the big transition to professional hockey. So that should be an interesting situation to see if Vogel starts off in the net for Pennsylvania Magic. They did draft Nick Nieder, but he had announced his retirement after this past season, which he concluded with the Privateers. So, but you never know if he'll make the comeback and play for the Magic. But we won't find out until training camp. He hasn't hinted whether he'll be coming back or not. As far as we know, he's retired. But you never know. So Eric Vogel, a good candidate to be in goal for the Magic. Um, Fourth pick, Nick Ciccolini. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Ciccolini, something like that.
It might be
He was drafted
might
from
be
the.
might be C. Colini. C. Colini? Maybe.
That
I
could be another possibility.
I know that once the season starts, we'll get it right because we always ask for pronunciations, you and I. It just so if we say it wrong, we do apologize.
Yeah, you never can tell on occasion. We'll get those types, so we usually do our best to figure it out pretty quickly. So Nick Ciccolini. Nick was drafted out of the Community College of Allegheny County. He was the captain of the team for 2 years. According to the Magic, he is a speedster who plays a very aggressive game and is a forward. He can make things happen on the ice. Um, Again, that's the Magic's description. He's 6'1" and 175 pounds and is a native of Plum, Pennsylvania.
If you bring that intensity with you for the Magic and with all that talent they put in the expansion draft, that's going to be great. That'll be a nice pickup for Southwest Pennsylvania.
Definitely, and Pennsylvania is definitely a hot spot for hockey. Definitely in those local communities and those colleges and those club teams, they can bring out some really good prospects. So definitely interesting to see if any of those make the squad come this upcoming season. And the Magic had a fifth pick as well, Cody Sackman-Staves. He also played at the University of Pittsburgh along with David Kutzer and Wayne David. He actually played on the national championship team, according here. Maybe he was on U20 team or something like that. Doesn't say which national championship team he was on, but he's 5'11" and he weighs in at 175 pounds. Apparently, he's very good with the puck, and he is very keen on going to the net to create chances.
That's one step about playing the great game of hockey. Keep that puck in front of you, and great things will happen afterwards.
Absolutely, and that's one of the big lessons of hockey. And going to the net, a lot can happen when you go to the net, especially if you get a shot away, aim low, get a rebound, shoot it high, potentially hit off the goalie as well on a rebound, or get a better scoring chance, go 5-hole. You can do so many things with the puck as you go towards the net. Make a pass on an open side on the far side, maybe go backhander, depending on which side you're coming in, and roof it over the goaltender. Just a lot of good things can happen when you go to the net or get a shot away. So if you have somebody who's not afraid to go to the net, you definitely have a player that can really come in handy for this Magic squad. That is all the picks for the Magic. So those are the 5 picks for the Magic. We got Danville, Dayton, and Watertown, and now we got Pennsylvania. So only one left we have is Danbury.
Now, before we get to the Whalers picks, I do want to mention that all 5 of the Magic picks, they're all players that waiting to jump on the team. Unless there was something that I missed, the Magic took 5 and everyone else got 4, with Danbury's 5th pick a special story, and Tommy and I will talk about that as we get to it. But at the same time, we don't know what's going to happen with that 5th pick. We don't know if the Magic are going to keep all 5, if one of them's got to go and just try out for the free agent camp. I haven't seen any official news on that, Tommy. Have you?
No, I have not seen anything particular on that. My only guess is maybe because they're an expansion franchise and are an entirely new FHL organization, unlike Watertown, which technically is a new franchise. They still retain a lot of their players, and they're starting from scratch. And maybe just because of that, maybe they're getting an extra pick. We don't know. But that's an educated guess we can take, and we'll get word on that later on. So they got 5 picks, so the other team's got 4. So now Danbury, the final team to pick from so far. Um, First pick was Tyler Morrison, and he's from Mississauga, home of the Mississauga area, which actually has a Ontario Hockey League team. I forget the name of it last second. It's on the tip of my tongue, but,
Steelheads, I think.
the Steelheads, that's right, yeah. I was thinking of another one. So good thing you said that, Lee. I would have said the entirely wrong team and looked stupid for that. But from Mississauga, 6'1", 189 pounds. I don't have the stats from this past season, but from 2013 he was playing with Truro, and he was playing with Truro this year in the MHL, where he played 46 games, had 7 goals and 19 assists, and 37 penalty minutes. So it definitely looks like a two-way player who can score on occasion and set up some good plays on occasion. So it should be an interesting all-around player we see for Danbury next season. They're a team full of scoring players and are pretty good defensively, so someone to really help, what's the term for it, really enhance their offensive and defensive game at the same time.
And Danbury had a great game on both ends of the ice. And I don't believe I've seen the protected list, but I got to figure Tyler Morrison joins the offensive ranks. Cody Ayers, that's going to be a nice punchline. Or if he drops back in the defensive side, if Scott Morangel's still protected, that's going to be a nice defensive wall for the Whalers, too.
Yeah, it's a good thing you mentioned that. I know Danville and Dayton and Pennsylvania and Watertown have their protected lists out. Danbury is the only team that has not released their protected list. We should expect that anytime in the next couple weeks. So a lot should be known around the league by free agent camp when it comes up in July 24th, I believe is the first day of free agent camp. So that is the number 1 pick. Trey Lewis, actually, is the second pick that Danbury made this draft. He's from Moncton, New Brunswick, home of the old Moncton Hawks, who were the number 1 pick of the Winnipeg Jets way back in the 1990s. He's born in 1993, 5'11", 188 pounds. Played the last 5 the Halifax Mooseheads in the Quebec Major Junior League. And this past year, he had 11 games played, a goal and 2 assists, and 26 penalty minutes. So 26 penalty minutes in 11 games. You can assume quite a few of those were fights in order to get that many in such a short period of time. However, he does have 3 points in those 11 games as well, and it averaged 5 goals and about 15 assists per season. Penalty minutes slightly above a couple a game. So it'll be interesting to see what role he brings to this Danbury squad. Sounds a lot like Steve Brown and his style of play, if you ask me, because he's a lot better in the defensive style of the game, and he's also not afraid to drop the gloves on occasion.
Yeah, Steve Brown, I mean, that was probably one of the most fun players to watch for Danbury, especially with his defensive game. And you're right, he never shook off a fight. And just like I said about Roger Guna a while back, I guess I should say, I don't think he met a fight he never liked.
No, you're absolutely right. And interesting enough, Steve Brown actually had a few call-ups throughout the season. I believe with the Elmira Jackals, who are affiliated with the Danbury Whalers. He was called up to them on occasion to help them out whenever they needed somebody in the defensive line.
Yeah, he had a couple of call-ups as well. I think he also went to Pensacola, the SPHL, too. I know he moved to
That's right.
the National Hockey League, but was it Pensacola or was it...
Yeah, it was Pensacola. I remember that now because he went there as well as Roman Andreev with the Dashers. He also as well.
And like we said, Steve Brown, what's not to like? Plays a great game defense for the Whalers. And if he's protected along with Scott Morangel, that's a good 1-2 defensive punch.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Moranjo, the defenseman of the year in the Federal Hockey League, and Brown, a good defensive player, and brings along with Marks, right?
Along with the captain for the Dayton Demons, Brian Marks.
Brian Marks, I think, is probably my favorite defenseman in the whole league. He is such a good player in both ways. He's like uh, I would actually say I had the name of it. I was gonna say Al McGinnis, um, but kind of like a mix of Al McGinnis and maybe Brian Hull, or Brett Hull. Sorry. Um, he likes to shoot the puck. He likes to really move in closer to the net and get aggressive. His favorite spot is halfway through the middle of the slot, and it's always wide open. As soon as he gets the puck, he just wires it to the back of the net, whether it's one-timer or a wrister. He's such a good player on the defensive end and the offensive end at the same time. He's definitely a good fit in Dayton as captain because he leads by example.
He's a great guy. He does what he's asked to. He does a little bit extra. He puts his heart and soul on the ice every night. And Ahmed and I got talking about during the broadcast last night. He can't score to save his life on 5-on-5 even strength, but when we're on the power play, watch out. He's
Oh
going to
yeah,
snipe it from everywhere.
he was definitely a big reason why Dayton had the top power play in the league last year. He definitely knows where to go to get the puck and where to hand the puck to. So definitely we'll look forward to seeing Marks again next year. So back on topic, the third pick for the Danbury Whalers was Joshua Desmond. He's from Halifax, Nova Scotia. 5'10", 171 pounds, born in '93. The defenseman also played with Halifax on and off, and also this recently came off with the Yarmouth Mariners of the MHL. Don't have his 2014 stats, I apologize, but in 2013 he had 53 points in 51 games, including 112 penalty minutes as well. So definitely sounds like a Roger Jaguna type player in the fact that he can score and set up plays, but also isn't afraid to drop the gloves and get into the action himself.
He sounds like he'd be a great fit for Danbury. I will mention one thing, reading off the FHL fans Facebook group again. It's not confirmed, but apparently Desmond is scheduled to play with the Mississippi River Kings of the SPHL. So if the River Kings cut him or something happens to him, he would be protected and he would be a Danbury Whaler. He'd go up and play in Connecticut as his rights are protected. But at the same time, who knows if the Whalers are going to get him or not?
Yeah, so definitely that could be but a big reason why he wasn't drafted immediately, because you want to try to get draft picks that you have an educated guess that you have good, that have a good chance of staying in Danbury. You don't want to draft someone high and then have end up that he doesn't even play a single game for you because he's playing in a higher up league or anything like that. Even though technically SPHL is the same rank as the Federal League, SPHL has been around longer and has a higher skill level technically than the Federal League. Hopefully, we catch up one season, and they are making gains in the SPHL in terms of that. But definitely, if you're a player and you want to choose between Federal Hockey League and the SPHL, chances are you're going to go to the SPHL. So, like I said, technically not a higher league, but some more experience in a more recently stabilized league as well. Although, like I said, the Federal League is making a lot of gains in the past couple seasons. Last year, first year, I know teams left the league mid-season or folded mid-season, so that was a big plus for the Federal League. So see how it happens starting in the fifth season.
Five years of FHL hockey. That's going to be a big anniversary for the league this upcoming year. Of course, like we mentioned, technically two new teams, but one brand new team to us, Southwest Pennsylvania, and still talks of a sixth team being created in the FHL. Just gotta keep working at it, and you'll have something very, very on par with the SPHL. So I definitely agree it could happen.
Yeah, definitely. Team so far. In an interview that actually was in the finals, Commissioner Don Kernan actually hinted that there could be as many as 7 teams, and that Huntington, West Virginia, was a possibility. So no news on that as of late, but you never know. Like I said, any news in terms of that could be known anytime before free agent camp or shortly back. But 5 teams right now, so Huntington, West Virginia is a possible. So we'll have to wait and see. So the fourth pick for the Danbury Whalers, Luke Warner. He was born in 1993. He's from Amherst, Nova Scotia. He's 200 pounds, and he played in 2013 with the Somerset Western Capitals and the Bridgewater Lumberjacks of the MHL. Not as much on the point scoring. He got quite a few assists, but mainly the penalty minutes is what sticks out. shows that he had about 180 penalty minutes in not even 50 games in 2013. I apologize with Danbury's picks. We can't seem to get the 2014 stats, but we do have everything before that. Uh, Definitely looks like a player that's not afraid to get in on the action per se, not too unlike Julian Fraser, who is their top forcer and also can score goals and get assists on occasion.
I think that Luke Warner's game be well welcomed in Danbury. I mean, like we mentioned, Karlov and Karanci lost to the Magic. So that being said, you got to start putting the new puzzle pieces of the forward lines together. I think Warner would fit.
Yeah, and also, if you want more information on, or maybe more insight to these Danbury Whalers draft picks, you could check out the DanburyWhalers.com. They posted a big highlight reel on their draft picks on their website. I don't think any of the other teams have done that yet. But if you want more insights into those new players for Danbury, you can check them out on thedanburywhalers.com. I think they posted also on their Facebook page and Twitter the link as well. So those were their fourth pick, and now we're going to get to an interesting story because their fifth pick, this has a really cool story with it. His name is Mikey Nichols. He played high school hockey, and he suffered a broken neck in a varsity hockey game last year. Very sad event, and unfortunately ended his hockey career. He wanted so badly to play professional hockey, however, that dream being cut short due to this injury. It's a shame to see these injuries happen throughout the world of hockey. Um, but reaching out were Erm Sorcher and Alan Friedman, the owners of the Danbury Whalers, and they used their fifth pick on him. They gave him a jersey, they gave him a puck, they gave him a contract, and they drafted him. So, very big showing of class by the Danbury organization to help Mikey achieve his goal, even though it's a shame he'll be able to play. But, he could say he was drafted by a professional hockey team, and he did say this is a dream come true. So definitely a big, classy move by the Whalers organization. Definitely just a cool story to see.
If I had a hat, I'd lift it. Hats off to Danbury, like you said, total class on that move, and definitely. When I saw that story, I was. Uh, it's a great story, and it's a great classy move, like I mentioned, by Danbury.
I agree. And so that was all the picks from Danbury. So we're going to review it again. Watertown drafted Adam Bevilacqua, Chad Bennett, Nick Avgerinos, and Corey Evelyn. The Danville Dashers drafted Brad Denny, Shane Gorman, Ben Schwick, and uh, Bobby Bowden. The Dayton Demons, they drafted.
Wilson Dumais, Dan Morin, Steve McSwain, and Tom Tracy. That's your 1, 2, 3, and 4 picks for the Demons.
Okay, in Pennsylvania, drafted. I have the list on here. They drafted Wayne David, David Kutzer, Kirk Vogel, Nick Cicciolini or Ciccolini, Cody Stackman Staves. Those are their five pick, and the Danbury Whalers picked Tyler Moore, Trey Lewis, Joshua Desmond, Luke Warner, and Mikey Nichols. So those were all the picks, all 22 of them from this year's college and junior draft. Definitely a very good draft around the league this year. What are your thoughts on the draft overall, Lee?
Man, what a great pool of talent that the Federal Hockey League got this year in this draft. I mean, second ever to span the wings of the league and get some young, fresh faces on all these teams. It was a beautiful time. I know I had a great time broadcasting the event in Inglewood for the Dayton Demons. I know the people that made out to the draft parties in Danbury, Connecticut, Danville, Illinois, Watertown, New York, and Belleverne, Pennsylvania. I'm sure they had a great time as well. And also, if you look at their Facebook pages, they're starting to put up pictures of the whole event. Watertown Daily Times already with a couple stories on the draft and the hiring of head coach Brent Clark, and a couple stories by the Danbury Whalers and the Danbury News Times. And I know there was a couple posts by I want to say Danville had a couple posts as well.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not in touch Facebook or Twitter. During the season, I actually run the Facebook and Twitter for the Danville Dashers. I haven't been totally in the loop during the off season, but I believe they have been doing some posting regarding the draft earlier today. So that is definitely something to review later. But definitely a pretty good draft overall. It's nice to have more than 16 picks, unlike last year's draft. So definitely a good overall second draft. Um, it definitely went well, and that's two of the three drafts out of the way. Of course, they had the a few weeks ago. The draft, the big one. That'll be coming up in July 24th to 27th, which will conclude with the actual draft. That's going to be a pretty exciting event, and maybe we'll even do a recap of that one. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know how much you like this recap, so hopefully we can do something for that as well.
That'd be cool, and I'd like to join along and say what the league did, and hopefully people enjoyed us getting together and talking a little Federal Hockey League hockey in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And uh, for you fans listening, how well we caps how we were doing this summer, we just may bring back the FHL Week in Review that they used to do with Matt Ryan in previous seasons. We're going to wait and see how that turns out. No promises yet, but we're going to try to do this, and we might bring in the other FHL broadcasters, Chris Erickson and Watertown, whoever's broadcasting in Danbury next year if Nick McGoles doesn't return, whoever will be broadcasting the Magic and the other teams that may starting the season.
Hopefully not that Dayton guy. I heard everyone hates that Dayton guy. I'm sorry, I shouldn't make jokes like that. But yeah, FHL we can review if you're not familiar. That was a podcast ran by Matt Ryan in the 2012-2013 season, and he did a tremendous job recapping everything. And even my color commentator at the time got to talk with him as well. So I think it'd be a great tool for the league to have, and something that everyone can look forward to. Tommy, I hope we can work on it and make it a reality for this season.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely a good future overall in the Federal Hockey League coming up in this fifth season. It's definitely looking to be a very big season. Hopefully, we'll see the return of the All-Star game, which couldn't happen this past year. Maybe do some more league-wide events starting next season. It's definitely just be a pretty big year in general. So, any other thoughts from you, Lee?
Fifth year of the Federal Hockey League. Let's make 2014-2015 the best in the history. That's my thoughts. That'll be penny for my thoughts.
The sound kind of just messed up there. Can you say that one more time?
Um, Fifth year of the Federal Hockey League. Let's make it the best one in 2014-2015, and now you owe me a penny for my thoughts.
Well, duly noted, and I agree with you there. It's definitely looking to be a pretty big season around the league and all the teams for it next year. And we will be bringing. So that'll do it for this row. Pecoraro, I believe you're on YouTube as well.
I'm sorry?
I believe you have a YouTube account as well. Maybe the fans could subscribe to.
Yeah, I have a demo reel at youtube.com/the Lee W. Mowen, I believe. Just search for Lee W. Mowen, and I'm on there. Follow me on Twitter, because that's where all the action is. Twitter.com/the Lee W. Mowen. And also, if you'd like to see Dayton Demons highlights, it's at youtube.com/CAMPERSON1. That's Camperson1 at YouTube.
All right, you can also follow myself at the Thrashman, TheThreshman, and if you have any suggestions or comments, just send them in to us, and we'll make sure to check them out. So that'll do it. Once again, Tommy Pecoraro here with Lee W. Mowen. Have a good evening, and I'm going to try to dodge some lightning bolts. And it's funny, I'm dodging lightning bolts in the summer here in hockey pucks in Danville during the winter. So wish me best of luck with that.
I'm going to catch some Z's. Good night, everyone.
Have a good evening. Bye.